G'day folks, and welcome to this playthrough of Scenario 1 from Operation Theseus. This is really an introductory scenario. It's called Assault on Bir Hacheim. It's explained as a training scenario, specifically with solitaire first-time players in mind. It recreates the first action taken by Axis forces against the Free French Brigade defending Bir Hacheim. It's not even a one-turn scenario. Basically, there's no sequence of play. Simply put, all you do is activate the Escalated division until either victory is achieved or they've been activated 6 times. Now, I've got the activation track down here, so we'll be able to sort of see how many activations they have left. They're always in supply, but command range must be checked when declaring actions. Continues until either automatic victory or they can't be activated any further. No reinforcements are available. A single ground support mission with the Italian air unit may be conducted. The Commonwealth forces are static units. They may not activate, react, earn battle victory, or recover from disruption. They simply sit and absorb any combat hits as strength point losses unless forced to conduct a forced retreat. So they will choose to sit put if they can. Now, I can achieve automatic victory by clearing the Free French from that Bir Hacheim hex and entering the hex with one of my units. Should that occur, the performance is based on clearing minefields, or breaching minefields, I should say, inflicting strength point losses, and disrupting Free French combat units. Right, so, as I said, all we do is activate our units. So, I might grab a little die rolling tray, put this over here, and let's begin. So we have activation level 7, we roll a 7, so 7 and a 7 gives us 7 action points. Now there is an action point track, but I'm actually going to use this little track to track my action points, so again you can follow along and see as I activate these formations. As soon as we determine the action points, we lower that by 1. So this is pretty good. This is the maximum action points available at this activation level. Can't get any better than 7. My apologies. It's 6. 6, 7. I looked at the wrong thing, which is a 6. 6 action points. They only have an activation level of 6, not 7. Okay, so what do we need to do here? We need to move into these minefields. Is there a way to do this? Is there an order to do this? I don't think so. I think we just move our units up, and I'm thinking these guys have a strength of 9, so they'll move up. Oh, you know what? I can move the entire, for 1 movement point, I can move an entire stack. So I'm going to activate this stack and move this entire stack into this minefield. This is not breaching a minefield. This is just moving into a minefield. Now, normally the opposing Free French player would have the opportunity to react here, but there's no reaction. Now, when I attempt to enter that minefield, before it actually happens, when I attempt to enter this minefield, I must make a roll. And there's a special table I use. So each unit, so maybe I do keep the tanks back. The tanks have a riskier time of actually entering these minefields. So I will leave them back and I'll use the infantry alone. They're much better. Oh, they are motorized infantry, but what do we add to this? We add the headquarters engineering support modifier. So we should, if I understand correctly, we should subtract 3 from that roll. You see there's a little superscripted 3 on the Escalated division here, and that's the only modifier. So a -3 to a die roll of 3 is a 0, They pass with flying colours. They needed a 4 or less, a net 4 or less. Okay, so I've entered that minefield. That's 1 point spent. Now I'm in the minefield. I'm going to spend 2 action points to try to breach this minefield. This is effectively finding a path through. So infantry units occupying a minefield hex can attempt to breach it, and again they roll a die on a special breaching table. This is much more difficult because this is not just a minefield, this is a minefield and a box. These little things here are boxes, and that makes it much more difficult. And I'm worried about it, in fact, because I need a 1 or less. I do have a -3 modifier, but it's a +1 because the location is in an enemy zone of control. So it's a net -2 to a roll of 6, which is a 4, so there's no effect. It's not, you can become disrupted here, but that's not what's happened. That's going to be difficult to achieve. And I'm wondering if I just... it would be nice to clear those minefields, but very tough to do so. Under here I have got my tank units. Okay, so I'm going to spend... I've tried to clear the minefield. I'm not going to spend more APs. I might just try and charge on in. So I'm going to move these units in, like so. Movement of 1. Okay. I might spend another action point to move this. Oh, it's a very weak reconnaissance unit. Let's bring these guys. Should have done it. I should have done it earlier. Let's bring them into the minefield. I can't stack here. There's a limit of 2 Panzer unit and or recce units, so they're at max. I'm going to try and bring this tank unit into the minefield. It is again a -3 modifier, but they will need a 2. That's going to fail. So 8 minus 3 is a 5. They're now disrupted, and the movement into the minefield is prohibited. And I'll spend my last action point to try to refit that unit. I'll do what's called a refit action. And to do a refit action, I think all I need to do is make... I'm just checking... Possible actions, refit 7.6. To do a refit action, I could find 7.6. Oh, Jesus, a long. Perform an effectiveness check. I need a 3 or less to pass. Okay, so let's try to refit that unit. They fail. And I'm going to try... No, I'm out of action points now. Okay, that's the end of my first activation. I'm going to try and activate this formation again. And that's all I do. I just repeat this until they're done. So they've now got activation level 5. I roll a 9. 5, 9 is going to give me 6 action points again. And again, I immediately reduce this. Okay, so let's try a different approach. Let's just try and attack. Actually, let's spend 1 action point to try and bring our recce unit in to here. Try to. They're going to try and enter the minefield. A -3 modifier. They pass. They make it in there. I'm now going to spend, and this is when I'm engaging in combat, I spend 1 action point to conduct an attack with these tanks. Okay, so here we go. I am starting to work through the combat sequence of play. You start by just spending 1. Attack declaration. I declare a hasty attack action with 1 friendly unit or stack of friendly units adjacent to an enemy occupied hex. The defender can retreat before combat, but they're not going to. They're static. I then decide that I want to escalate this. So I spend another 1. This would now be a regular combat. 2, it's a prepared attack. So it costs 2 extra APs, action points. Now we draw combat chits. I draw 1 for the attacker, 1 for the defender. And this applies to all units. This is a defender, and this is for the attacker. And this applies to all units in that hex, and it's based on their efficiency rating. So I'm just going to stretch out the French so we can see what's under here. They have got some very good efficiency ratings of 7. And they're in a minefield, which means they're using this far right column. Efficiency rating of 7, efficiency rating of 7. We look at the 7 here and the far right, so they triple their strength. That's what that little 3 means. The attackers here have got 5 and 5, all right, and they're using a prepared attack, so they also triple their attack strength. We now determine the strengths and work out a preliminary combat ratio. So we have got now 3 times 3 is 9 plus 9, 18 on a pretty hefty defense. On 18, 24, 18 plus 24 is 42. So we are looking at 1 to 3 odds as a basis. 1 to 3 odds. Okay. Yeah, that's painful. We can use a ground support mission, and that would give us a column shift. So that would shift our... Oh, what are we looking at too? We're looking at terrain. We're looking at a minefield box. So we're off the chart. Best we can do is shift it up to 1 to 2. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to send in, we're looking at 1 to 3 at the moment, 18 on 42. I'm going to send in my air unit. This can only be used once, so I'll use it now to shift us up to 1 to 2. So at least we're on the CRT. We're on the 1 to 2 column. Oh no, actually, cross-reference the ratio, blah, blah, blah. If the ratio is less than the one listed, the attack is treated as a 5-0. Okay, so I cannot, before I even get to that point, before I even can allocate my ground shifts, this is a disaster. Because we haven't even made it to the CRT for Minefield, we suffer a 5-0 result. Wow, okay. Not good. Not good at all. So straight to combat resolution, combat results. This is a 5 red result. So the first step must be taken by one of the participating units. All right, so they suffer, that top unit, let's say, suffers the strength loss. They're now down to a strength of 2. The combat result was printed in red, so I must perform an efficiency check with each of my units in the stack. So that's 2 checks needing 5 or less. I'll roll them both at the same time. Red unit on top. All right. I don't know if 0s are 10s or 0s are 0s. I think a 0 might be a 0. Cannot see where it's specified, and it says 0, so I guess I'm going to treat a 0 as a 0. So the red ones on top fail. If they fail, they become disrupted, and the unit on the bottom with a 0 passes. Now the remaining hits are variable. All units in the stack that... no, hold on. Some units failed. First, all disrupted units must make a forced retreat of 1 hex. So they've got to pull back. The remaining units may choose to follow them or hold. if I hold with any units, all remaining combat hits are taking as step losses from the holding units. If I decide to follow the retreat, this counts as one of the remaining hits, and all the other remaining hits must be taken as 1 hex force retreats. So I can go, for example, 1. So I'm following the retreat. That counts as one of the remaining hits. I've got 3 more remaining hits. Oh, hold on. I apologize. This is for the defender. So if the attacker decides to follow the retreat with all the attacking units, this counts as one of the remaining hits, and all the other must be taken as step losses. So I've got 3 step losses left. Step losses must be taken evenly. So this unit now must take a step loss. All right, they're down to strength 2. And I've got 2 more hits to resolve, so 1 and 2. So I am not off to a good start. Could not even make it onto the CRT. I even brought in support and everything. Didn't get to the point in the combat sequence where I can throw my air units at them, lend my support, lend my HQ to the attack, lend my armor superiority to the attack. It failed before I even got off the ground. So they kind of smashed me on my approach to the objective, and they go back into the cup. And that's the end of combat. Ouch. With 1 point to go, I think what I'm going to do is activate these guys to pull back. Moving out of an enemy zone of control. I'm just thinking if there's any... It would normally trigger a reaction. What I want to do here, though, they've got 6 movements. So it's 1 to leave. And then I think what they're going to do... I'm just checking... yeah, and then they'll come back in here. 2. They've gone back 1, 2 into that hex there. And I have 1 AP left, which I'll spend to try to refit that unit in this under here. They need a 3 or less. They pass, so they recover from disruption. All right. We now make another activation roll. It's a 9, so they're on 4, 9, which is going to give me 4, 9, 6. So that comes down. I have 6 more actions. Getting pretty lucky with these activation rolls at least. Now I can, sorry, I said you can only stack 2 tanks, but this is in addition to an infantry type unit. So I'm going to spend 1 action point to bring these tanks back into this hex. They're only on 1 strength each now, but better than nothing. I'm going to attack. So start with a hasty attack. The defender then has the option to retreat, which they're not going to do. I then escalate by saying regular attack, prepared attack. I draw a defender marker, attacker marker. I can immediately see that these strong French are going to be tripled, and I can see that I'm also going to be tripled. I know that they've got a strength of 42. I'm going to have 9, 10, 11. Yes, I've got the infantry attacking now. So 9, 10, 11 is 33. All right, I'm on the CRT because 33 on 42 is rounded down to 1 to 2 in a minefield. So I am on, I am on at least. Okay. Now I can throw in my air unit. I'm going to do this because I'm getting desperate. I'm going to throw my air unit to shift that now up to the 2 to 3 column. I only get to use that once in this scenario pretty much. I then can draw on attacker support. And this is where I draw an adjacent unit. So I've got a recce unit right next to me there. So for a prepared attack, I may contribute a DRM of +2 for each hex adjacent that contains one friendly combat unit of the same formation. So I get +2 for this recce unit. Okay. I have my headquarters support. Now because this is in command range, headquarters are right here, so they're within command range. I can add, for a prepared attack, the headquarters current support points. And support points is that number in yellow at the center. So I've got 2 for this, +5, which is a total of +7. I now weigh up armor. Now my armor, I think these are both pretty much the same, right? They both bring 2, which is the central yellow factor. And I look at what the defenders have got, and they have both got an anti-tank white factor of 1. So that's 2 minus 1, which is 1, +1. So I've got +2, +5, +1, for a total of +8. All right, I don't have the Schwerpunkt bonus, and they didn't try to retreat before combat, so there's no modifiers for that. So I'm looking at a net +8 modifier to my roll on the CRT. I roll the dice. An 8 +8 is 16. Okay, so we can bring this over, and here we go. This may be difficult to see. I apologise, but we're on Minefield 2 to 3, and a result of 16 is a 1, 2. Now, the first number is the attacker number, and it has to be taken by the unit that was used for the armor superiority DRM, which is this unit, and they're eliminated. Okay, so that's 1 eliminated Italian unit. No more losses for the attackers. Now, you should do defender results first. The defender should follow this in full. So the first step will be taken by that unit. They are down now to a strength of 7. That's the first loss. They now need to make efficiency checks. They need 7s or less. Top unit, bottom unit, they both pass. And the second strength loss, basically, will be taken by this unit, who is reduced to a strength of 5. And that's pretty much the end of that combat. So these are returned to the cup. I don't get my air unit anymore. It has now flown. But what I have done is knocked a couple of strength points off those French, which should hopefully make future odds determinations a little better, a little bit more in my favour. All right, I do have 2 more AP left. What am I going to do here? Let's try to refit this unit here. I'm going to roll a 1. They are going to be recovered. I'm going to spend, that's 1. Going to spend another AP to bring them in here and reinforce that. And that's the end of that activation. We now try to roll activate again. They're on 3. A roll of 3 is not going to be great. 3 gives me 3 action points. Oh, let's start again. Hasty attack. If I get to the combat sequence of play, no retreat before combat. Now I'm going to escalate. Regular, prepared attack. Oh, I should point out as well, if you win a combat, as I just did, you get a free action point. So, what action point can I try to do? Maybe I'll try to move these guys in as an action point. Actually, they'll try to move in here. Oh, let's go all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and try to move into that minefield. I think it's no, it's all their movement. So they'll just go into here, I guess. No, they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they'll hang around there to move in later. Okay, so we are up to escalation. Combat shit's being drawn. What I want is a low 7. So this is for the defender. They get a 7. It's going to be tripled again. And this is for the attacker. They're only going to be doubled this time. So we know they've got 5 and 7, which is 12, 36. And I have got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 26. Okay, so I'm on the table again. It's 1 to 2 in a minefield. All right. I don't have my air unit. Now I'm working out the dice roll modifiers. Again, I have a prepared attack with attacker support +2, headquarters +5, and I know that my tanks are stronger than them, so that's +1. So again, we're looking at a +8 modifier. +8 modifier, but the column is slightly worse. My roll is a 0. 0 + 8 is a 2, 1. Okay, so they will lose another step, and I will lose 2 steps. First one has to be from the unit that gave me the armor shift, and then it's underlined. So I need to make rolls. These are for my 2 tank units, red on top. They fail, so they are disrupted. Next one passes, and the infantry unit fails. Not a good sign. Okay, so in terms of combat results, they are disrupted. Some units failed. First, all the disrupted units in the stack must make a forced retreat of 1 hex. So they'll come back, and I can leave 1 tank unit in there. Now I do have, okay, I'm going to do a shortcut this. That tank unit remains there. I have 1 step less, but if I follow this retreat back, it satisfies that remaining hit. Nothing more to resolve. Okay, running out of time. That's the end of that activation. That should have slid down. We're now on 2 and a roll of 7. 2, 7 might be okay. 2, 7 is 4 activations. Problem is now I need to refit. So I'm going to try and refit my infantry. They are on the bottom here and they need, it's 3. A 3. Well, let me check. Yep, they're going to need a 3. They fail. Got to try again. Oh, they fail. They pass. Okay, so they've refitted. I don't like my chances of winning this scenario. Okay, I'm going to spend the last AP to move in with the infantry and just one of those tank units, leaving the disrupted tank unit behind. And I think I forgot to slide them down. So I'm down to 1, 7 now. 1, 7 is actually going to give me 4 action points. All right. I am going to, oops, not 4 activations. That's now 0. 4 action points. I'm going to spend 1 to attempt to move these in. They are armoured cast, so they don't need too much. They succeed. Now I'm going to do a hasty attack from here to here. They won't retreat. They won't retreat. I will escalate to a prepared attack. I will draw 2. Oops, should have put these back. Sorry. Should have put these back in the bowl. Would really like a 7 that isn't tripled. Defender, attacker. Hey, it's a 7 that is doubled. And I've got of course. Okay, so I've got 5 that is only 1. So they have got now, what are they on? I think 6 and 5, which is 11, doubled to 22. But I've only got 9, 10, which is, folks, 1 to 3, which is a 5-0. So I'm screwed. All right. So they take a loss. They're down to 8. I must make a mandatory check, red on top. They fail and they fail, so they're both disrupted. They're both disrupted. Must both retreat 1. And I've got 3 left. So 1 and then 2, 3 to bring them down to 6. And we can go back. And what a disaster. I have failed. I have no activation levels left. I've exhausted all my efforts. That's the end of the scenario. So what could I have done differently? I think not moving into the minefields, moving my infantry out here. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try and move my infantry out here. Still get the support in there if I can. Get my tanks in here and bring in my air units early. I've also got the Schwerpunkt marker, which will help. It'll give me +2 in combat, which I didn't use this time around. So a couple of considerations for the next time around. I'm going to reset everything and give it another go. All right, but folks, that'll give you an idea of how this plays through. Not a good outcome for me. I think I may have made a few little mistakes with the APs and activation levels. I've got to remember to do this procedurally. I'll keep that in mind as I move forward. Thanks all for watching and take care.